Hi, this is Queenie Yu from Bullet Point News. I'm with our mental health correspondent, Sue Morrison, a certified addiction and mental health counselor at White Brick Therapy in Stouffville. Sue, I'm going to jump right into this. How has the
Okay.
pandemic affected the mental health of our community?
Oh, it's a loaded question. It's greatly affected it. I think a lot of people are talking about the mental health during the pandemic, but no one is really addressing the mental health after the pandemic. And it's actually, anxiety, depression, loneliness is at its highest levels since the early pandemic. But not much is being said about it.
Why is there more anxiety and loneliness now?
I think it's like the after effect. We were so isolated. Didn't have that support network, that community. And now that it's over, there's like a hangover effect, almost. What do we do now? We have like these hurts, these scars from it almost. It's like when you go through a traumatic event and then afterwards you're like, you're more aware of it. You're more aware of how it affected you. And it affects everyone differently, but it's definitely left a lasting impact on so many people in terms of anxiety and depression. Um, yeah, and that the demand for services has skyrocketed since the pandemic.
So, what can people do to heal those scars?
Talk, talk to people, be a part of the community. I think we really missed that, having that sense of getting outside, talking to people, being in nature, talking about our feelings. That's a huge part of it. I think this feeling that we have um, that we're alone, we have no one to talk to. It's sort of like a pain that stays with us, and we need to try to find a way to acknowledge it and get it out and deal with it, rather than just repress it and feel like it's not there, it happened, it's over, I don't need to talk about it anymore. Because these woundings inside of us stay with us until we acknowledge them.
I understand the importance of talking to people, but is
hmm
there a right person to talk to? For example, if I'm feeling pretty depressed and I want to self-harm, is it
hmm
healthy for me to speak with another depressed person who's also engaging in self-harm?
Um, a little bit, perhaps, because that way you're not feeling alone, but definitely talking to someone who has the skills to help you work through that, to talk it through and see that there's resources, there's coping skills. There are things that we can do. Self harm is actually on the rise since the pandemic, along with, like I said, anxiety, depression, loneliness, suicide. All of these things are skyrocketing because people are not reaching out and people are feeling like that they're alone. Um, so yeah, it's important to talk to someone who's unconditionally accepts you, non-judgmental, um, and has the skills to help you work through it and feel like there's nothing wrong with you. I think a lot of times we feel like there's something wrong with us and we're the only one that feels this way. And that's just not true, but that's what we feel.
Could you help me understand self-harm? Like I can understand drinking could make me feel good, but self-harm?
Yeah, self-harm is when you're in a really dark place and you feel completely alone and the emotional pain inside of you is so great, you literally can't bear it anymore. It's like the emotional pain becomes a physical pain. Um, that's where suicide comes in, where you just don't know what to do. And it's literally unbearable. Some people self-harm because you're sort of focusing on a different pain. You're trying to numb the emotional pain with physical pain. So people use cutting and other ways as well. But it's become quite common as well, actually, because you're trying to not feel the emotional pain. So you want the physical pain. It's becoming quite common.
We could probably talk for hours on that alone, but
Yeah,
I think that's enough for today, and we can continue next month. So,
wonderful. Thank you.
Sue, thanks so much for joining us. Where can people find out more about White Brick Therapy?
On my website, whitebricktherapy.com. Check it out.
Sue, thanks for coming on Bullet Point News.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.